Jované Scholtz, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. We met not so long ago, and I've seen you all over on social media. So I'm really excited that you came to have a chat with me, man. Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, it's a massive privilege. I'm ready to share the story and motivate a lot along the line.
I'm sure that's going to happen today because I think anyone who's watching the video or anyone who has seen you, you can tell this guy has a story. And I say that with all the respect. You portray a story. And I think I know a little bit of your story, and that makes it better because I know where you're currently at. And I think you are in a really good place, and that excites me, man. And I think for the ministry and your ministry, I think it helps to have a story. I think that connects to the people that you want to connect to. It shows them a beginning and where you're at currently. It's not just, I grew up in a church, my father was a minister. It's not that basic story. It's a real story of trials and tribulation and tests.
You know, there's two ways you can look at it. And this is a chat I had with someone not too long ago. You can look at it in this way. You can say, okay, I'm facing a bit of trouble. Most of the troubles that people face that are real troubles, the troubles that keep you up at night, are the type of troubles you really struggle to talk about. Whether it be addictions, whether it be lust, whatever it may be. And why would you logically go to someone for advice that hasn't been through it? When you struggle with financial stress, you don't go to your 3-year-old toddler and ask them how to deal with your money. You usually go to someone that's either in a better position than you or someone that has been there and came out of it. And that's why I find myself very blessed, because I'm only 25 and there's a lot of roads that I've walked, in Afrikaans baie grondpad, and the Lord has blessed me enough for me to be able to be on podcasts like this, or to be able to share my story in order to help other people. And I think that's the main process where I am in my life right now, to extend a helping hand.
That's beautiful, man. Tell me a bit about who's Jované. Where did Jované come from? Where did you grow up?
First of all, I'll tell you who I am. And it's a tough question, because you know, when someone asks you who are you tend to lean towards answers like occupation, relationship, what I do, and I'm going to try and stay as far away from that as possible. I'm going to sum it up into 3 points. I'm a God-fearing family man, proud dad. I'm not going to be able to keep this to 3 points. Proud dad. I love rugby. I love a home braai. I'm a proud partner to Nikita. I'm a proud dog dad to a little pit bull puppy called Killer. Who am I? I am someone that grew up in Pretoria. I went to laerskool Park. Grade 7 Craven Week, Sasolburg, very cold day. I got to offer a rugby scholarship to a school called Glenwood in Durban. So that was a crazy experience as well. I didn't even know who Glenwood was. That was I think that was a Saturday. The Monday there was a flight to Glenwood. They paid for our accommodation. I signed a contract that day, 5-year academic and sports scholarship. Ended up playing some rugby there. In grade 10, I got into a massive car accident. Ended up fracturing my skull, did a brain damage, broke my neck, broke the whole side of my face. And that was a tough time for me. I think that was the first time I ever experienced depression, because since I could ever remember, man, it has been this dream of mine to be a famous rugby player. You know how silly dreams can be, and at that age you don't understand the depth that goes into rugby. I mean, all the academy sides, under 9, you just have this massive dream of being call it a Siya Kolisi, man, this world renowned rugby player. And like I said, that was the first time I feel like I experienced depression.
Was that because you felt your dream is gone now? It's not possible anymore?
There was a few reasons to that, man. Number one was I signed a 5-year contract, and my family wasn't in the financial space to be able to pay for my schooling further. So I didn't know where I was going to go. That was the one side of it. The other side of it was, where to now? When you're on a full scholarship at Glenwood, man, you go to school 3 times a week. Other 2 days you spend at the Sharks Academy for training, and that came to not a drastic, like a immediate stop. Apart from that, I was booked off of school for, if I can remember correctly, it was 2 terms. So it was about, let's call it 6 to 8 months with school holidays. When I came back, there was a lot of academic stress, and the main reason, man, I didn't have a dream anymore. It's very hard to find a passion, not only as a schoolboy, but as a human, as a grown-up. And I felt that I knew what my passion was. And then God had other plans, man. You plan and God decides. After that, I was blessed enough they carried on with my bursary. After that, in 2016, I graduated.
Let me just ask, did you recover fully to be able to continue playing rugby?
No, I had to stop. I wasn't allowed any contact sports anymore. And it was tough, man. It was a tough. I felt very alone. I did. I felt very alone. So how it also works in the hostel is they split up your dorm rooms into not friends, but people that do the stuff together. So all the rugby players would be in the same dorm room because you wake up early in the morning, and I guess they thought that it would be easier for a group to go to gym together, or what it may be, whatever it may be. So the last 2 years of my school, I was the one that stayed alone till inspection, till breakfast. All my friends woke up, and that created a big void, I feel. Matriculated in 2016, and this was the year I felt I met all the right people at the wrong time. I was good at fighting, and I think that was a problem. The wrong people saw potential. Not long after that, I'd say about a year or two after that, I became a bodyguard for a specific individual. And from there, everything just went downhill. It started as debt collections. There was a lot of money involved. You must remember, man, as a young man, as a young individual, a lot of money and what you think is respect, it rubs you up in the wrong way. And yeah, that's from there. Not long after that, I remember this day as well. I ended up going to my parents, no specific reason. As I walked, so they don't smoke inside, they smoke outside on the stoop. As I walked outside, I felt that there was something going on. There was a bit of a atmosphere, and I couldn't handle it anymore. And I said, "Pa, wat gaan aan?" And as he opened his phone, there was just all these pictures of me being wanted. I then ran from the police for a month or two, and they caught me having a lunch at a restaurant. There I went to prison, met God, turned my life around, and here I am today, very blessed.
So would you say that turning point happened inside the prison?
Yes, but the funny thing is, man, it wasn't planned. Most of my time, most of the time that I was in prison was during COVID. What happens is when you are inside in COVID, you can't get any I'll give you a few examples. You can't get any clothes in. So literally from the time that you're locked up, you're in that same outfit up until COVID passes. Apart from that, you are only allowed 1 hour outside of your cell every month. Okay, so they call it buitejaard. But then, after 6 months, I saw, because you get used to things and you see how things operate. I sit back and I see, okay, once every week there's home cell. But the bonus, they've got a speaker. Like a JBL, not a JBL, they've got a... I thought, what a spoil. Your time doesn't get limited. You've got to speak. We can listen to music. And you are on your own. So that means you can take your little Nokia with and you can talk to your parents or whoever it may be. Then I fell in love with Jesus, man. And I ended up talking to him like I'm talking to you. So you must also remember, prison's not the type of place where you want to build relationships. It's not the type of friends you want to make in there. It's a very scary place. It's a dog town. You won't survive if you're a soft man. If you're a chicken. You will only survive if you become a dog up here, because unfortunately that's what it is. The prison's not a place like this. It's a place where there's no human rights. There's no cameras. There's no... Stuff happens, man. You sort your own stuff out. And I needed someone to talk to, because the problem that I faced was I couldn't talk to psychologists before or after prison, because usually a psychologist is someone that you talk to that... When someone caused issues with you, you go speak to a psychologist to sort it out. In my case, I was the one that caused the issues. So how do you speak to someone? It wasn't... And unfortunately, when you are in that lifestyle, the little bit of mistrust that you pick up, you don't want to carry on with that person. If it's a look, if it's a reaction. So... in prison, I needed someone to talk to, man, because I was becoming sober, and yes, I had a very unique relationship with God. It was a lot of crying, it was a lot of laughter, but you want to ask me what my turning point is? I didn't make a turning point. This is a classic story of God meeting me halfway. I was just obedient, and He met me halfway, and He brought me till where I am today.
Would you say it's that got you through that time?
The majority of it, yes. The other part of it was my own mindset and me wanting to. At the end of the day, and you can argue with me or not, but whatever you want, you will get. If you want to get better, you make the small subconscious decisions along the way to get there. If you want to go out every night, you make excuses to go out. It's really the seed that you plant. At the end of the day, I knew that wasn't what I wanted for myself, because you're not stupid enough to think that that's what God wants for you. God has a father's heart, and He wants to see you do better. And you have to also want to. It's like, if I can put it in simple English, man, it's useless to take someone to a rehab that doesn't want to get clean. They need to, there's 50% of, the rehab can do 50% of the work. But the other 50%, you must be willing to get clean in order to be able to succeed with it.
You must be tired of that situation yourself, not just everyone being tired for you about it. And then, were you sad in the prison? Were you mad? What emotions were you experiencing there?
Yo, man, I'm gonna give you what I went through, and then you can kind of make your own mind up about it, because it's a mixture of all emotions. Have you ever, and I'm pretty sure you have you ever woke up and gone to bed with the same tears in your eyes? That is what I went through. I was very scared. Must remember, I went to prison at 19, turning 20. You're still supposed to be a first year at that age. And I was there fighting, literally fighting every single day, man. From there, I was angry because I remember the one night. So remember, everything's concrete, okay? The reception is very bad. So when you want to make a phone call, you wait till master. Master is at 6 o'clock, so that's when they lock the main doors. So that means EST can't come in, only like Prison Riot. And Prison Riot is a group of maybe 10 to 15, and their office is way there. So, if anything happens, it takes them about an hour. I'm not even joking, to get to your cell. So that's what the people do. So people sell excavators out of prison and wara. So the business that you do, the phone calls that you have to make, you do it after 6 because there's no eyes on you. Back to the signal. So prison has these small little windows up there, and when you want to make a phone call, you literally have to climb up there and try and hang out to get some reception. And I remember that first time I called my great-grandmother, just to tell her I'm okay, and there it hit me like a ton of bricks what I caused. Because at the end of the day, you can blame addiction, you can blame influence, but it's still your own decision what you do. And there I felt angry because I had, and I still have, a lot of potential, but I lost it along the way with the wrong focus. I never had a firm foundation. And I'll talk about that now as well. After that, so the first phase is sad, scared. Scared and sad is the same thing for me. Then you become angry. Then you kind of have to make peace with it. You have to make peace with where you are now. And in that process of making peace, you don't become comfortable. You start thinking of how to fix it. And that's pretty much the emotions.
I can just imagine the difficulty of, firstly, not being able to communicate, and you've made a mess and you're in a mess, and you can't sort it out. You can't make the phone calls. You can't get that lawyer and discuss whatever problem you're in to get out of it. What would you say was the toughest part to deal with, or the worst part, being locked up?
Definitely realizing how the world carries on and yours doesn't. It really hits you when birthdays start to pass. Stupid things like Christmas dinners where you were. And we made fun of, don't get me wrong, you make the most of it inside. So New Year's, what you do is you take Stolvol and you light it up so it makes these little sparks, and you just imagine that it's fireworks and everyone's singing, but it's not the same. It's like comparing apples to chocolate, man. It's not the same. So I'd say that's probably the hardest part, is realizing how life goes on and yours doesn't. And it hits you like a ton of bricks when you are eventually released, to understand how far you've been set back.
You've lost.
Debt. Your clothing accounts, they don't worry. Okay, he's been. Let's pause his debit orders for a second. Rent, car payments, relationships, trust, public eye. It has a big impact on you, man. And that's why I'll get back to this point by saying I didn't do much. I didn't change much. God was the one that literally took my hand halfway, and he did the rest. Because look where I am today. I've got retainers signed. I've got affiliations, man. I've got awesome relationships. I'm privileged enough to be on your podcast. You wouldn't say this a few years ago.
You've got a lot of life experience in a short time. I didn't think you were that young.
Yeah. So I'm turning 26 this year.
Goodness, that's a lot of life that's passed.
A lot.
Okay, so we can come back to it if you want, but I wanna now look at the life after that, because I think you've changed tremendously inside, and then it always it scares me even thinking about it. How do you incorporate back into life after that being gone? I was in hospital and a rehab center for getting my body back in shape for about 3 months. And that wasn't even for controversial reasons. It was just because of the accident. And it was difficult for me. I think the same things that you said, yeah, things are continuing to happen. When I get out of this situation, I knew it won't be the same as when I left that situation. So how do you incorporate back into normal way of living after this?
It all goes in phases. It all runs in phases. And I think this is something you can relate to. There's two things in life that heals you as a person. Number one is God, and number two is time. Okay. You know, just as good as me, nothing heals pain just as good as time. Whether it be a grass burn. You know, tonight in the shower, that grass burn's going to burn. But next week, might have a little roofie, okay? Your heartbreak in primary school is not as sore as your heartbreak the next year, or the high school one. Your pain as well. I can imagine you underwent or went through a lot of depression. You still don't feel lacquer, but you feel a lot better than a year ago. Why I say it runs in processes, or it has a process to it, is I don't lie about anything. I don't lie about how bad prison was or how bad recovering from it was. But how do you explain so many repeat offenders? I can explain it to you. Those people don't want to get better. Don't get me wrong, those people also have families, but those people don't want to get better. They don't have a goal. When you don't have a goal, you float. You're like a floater in the toilet. You're just there. You don't stink anymore. You also don't get flushed, but you're just there. And that's the worst, man. It was a very lonely path, because logically you sit back and you say, okay, I want to change. How do I change? First of all, I cut all contact. I cut all previous relationships, because that stuff just holds you back. You have to get to a point in your life where you realize if it doesn't bring you peace, it's not for you. And at that moment in time, it didn't bring me peace at all. From there, it literally, it's like climbing steps. It feels very stagnant at the time. I mean, I remember I was homeless then after prison, so I stayed on my parents' stoop there, the same one where I got the bad news. And I taught myself how to make clothes. I bought myself an old Singer, the handmade one, in Vanderbijl Park. And I taught myself how to make clothes, just to kind of pass the time. And from there, it's just one step at a time, knowing that next year this time, I'm going to feel a lot better than today. If you just keep your mind focused on growth, it is bound to happen. It's like I explained to you earlier, that it's those little subconscious decisions of, today I'm going to brush my teeth twice. Today I'm going to make my bed 4 times. You know, those are the type of things that build up over time. When you look in the mirror, you don't realize your hair growing. But in a year's time, you see it grow. You've seen it grow. You see what I mean? It's a whole process to it.
Yeah, building a mountain with layers of paint. Thin layers,
Yeah,
and
at
them
a time.
stacking on top of each other
At a
becomes
time.
something, but it's difficult to see well in it.
I guess you have to realize what's important to you. I had a talk the other day. I was talking about how do you find your passion, okay? And it's no secret that what you talk about is what you want. You know, when I bumped you at Virgin Active, and you immediately talk about biceps, you know, triceps, shoulder, whatever it may be, I know for a fact I can I can kind of come to a conclusion that you want to gain size. If I had to bump you at Virgin Active and you're talking about McDonald's, I know you're going to get fatter. You know, you have to figure out what you want, and you have to find your passion. And the only way you find your passion, and this is the process I also went through, is, it sounds very simple, but you take a piece of paper like you have there, you take a line in the middle, label your wants and needs, and whatever you want and need just as bad. Think about it this way: I've got a son now. I want to look after him financially, and I really need to, otherwise there's no other. So that's, my son is my passion, looking after him, giving him the best. Yeah, so that's a process.
Yeah, I can think that changes a lot of things. I'm also becoming a father soon.
Congratulations, I saw.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we now social media, what do you call it? We released
Official.
it now, official, yeah. So, how scared are you about what happened to you in your life happening to your son? How do you think about that? Does that terrify you? And how do you make sure that doesn't happen? Is it even in your control?
I'll give you a simple answer, and I believe we're going to be friends from now on forward. I don't fear anything. I promise you that. I don't fear any circumstance. I only fear God. I promise. And it sounds cliche, but I don't. Unfortunately, when you've been through a lot in your life, your bang gets alu less and less and less and less. And I think that's also something you can relate to. You kind of see value in a lot more than actual fear. Let's get back to my son. Okay, I don't fear anything, man, but I've met my match with that little boy, and I wish it upon you. You're gonna see how that your little boy is gonna know what to do with you whenever. I've met my match. The difference is, man, I'm gonna call him out 10 steps ahead. And that's why I don't fear it, because I know I know how you get there, I know what you go through, and I know the signs. I know, so I don't fear it, man. I'm gonna call him out 10 steps
ready
ahead.
for it?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think that's another part that in a couple of years' time, I will say that was another pivoting point for me. Something that changed the direction of my life. It changed how I operate, how I communicate, how I hold myself. Because also, you have an audience of one watching you constantly and watching your every move. And I think that probably helps you become the better version, because you need to be an example.
I would say that, yes. I think it's also important as a parent, as a partner, as a husband, as a father, to not make your wants their wants. You still need to want your own stuff. You still need to be the leader. If your wants become their wants, you might as well be the same person. And what drive do you have then? What example are you setting when you just forge with whoever you meet, whether it be your partner, whether it be your child, or some unfamiliar person?
You need to be an individual still.
You still need to want your own stuff, and that's how you form an example. It's not by focusing on. I feel that's fake. If my example depends on whoever I meet, who I'm in conversation with, at the end of the day, man, even before I went to prison and today, I still want the same stuff. I still want to be sick. I want to be someone you look up to. The difference now is I've got a foundation. And when you have a foundation, you cannot not be humble. What I'm trying to say, man, is, long story short, you need to stand firm in your foundation. Mine is Christ. That is already a massive example that I'm leading.
Yeah, and I think it's visible. You're leading that, you're showing that example visibly, and probably that is not the only reason why you're doing it, but it's visible. I wanna ask you about something that I assume you have had lots of thought about, and maybe the time in isolation also helps this on. The thought of death and the fact that you're going to die, the fact that everyone else is going to die. A lot of the time I think about it because I've had a very near-death experience. I think it has lost some of its sting and some of its power. But I use it in a different way now. I use it as a motivator. I think a lot of people think about death and they are scared or they are sad when someone else has died, or maybe it's the carrot and the stick. It's the stick. It's a punishment. But I see it in the way that the fact that I am going to die, the fact that my parents are going to die, that is possibly a very good reason to handle them in a good way, to live life to the fullest, to treat people well. They're gonna die. Their opinions are gonna die with them. The fact that they maybe didn't like me, the fact that I didn't like them, is not gonna matter. It might be a really short time. So why waste the time on that? So I think maybe death has lost its sting to me because I'm not afraid of it. I've angled it in a way as a motivator. Think, listen, I don't have a lot of time. We don't know how much time we have. We need to do something. How do you think about, firstly, just death, and then after death?
In my eyes, people only fear death because of one reason, and that's regret. Whether it be the death of someone else or of yourself. I would only fear death if I regret something, regret handling you in this specific way, regret not living my life to the fullest. And I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to reverse this question a bit. Okay, we're going to speak hypothetically. Hypothetically, you go to the doctor and he tells you, listen, Leroux, you've got 2 days left, my boot. You're dying. What is it today, Wednesday? You're dying Friday. How will you live the next 2 days? To your fullest, obviously. Maybe go rob a bank, hopefully not. But you will do whatever you've always wanted to do. Friday you get to the appointment and he says, surprise, sorry, it was the wrong file. You're not dying into the... You don't want those... You want to live your life. And it's hard, man, because you've got certain challenges like rent that needs to get paid, stagnant happenings in your life, work. It's hard to live your life that way. But I feel like you won't fear death if you don't have any regret. I know for a fact, as I'm sitting here, I'm only going to one place when I'm dead. I guess the only thing I'll fear a bit is, or I hope I fear a bit, is that my son misses me. Because I think at this point now, man, there's nothing for me to be afraid of. I'm at a good point in my life. I'm doing a lot of work for God. I know He blesses me even more. And I don't really have any regret. As I'm sitting here now, man, there's absolutely nothing I would change that I do. You must remember, I'm the type of person that I address the teller at Spa the same way as I'll address you here now. I treat you guys with the same respect. There's absolutely no regret that I have. There's nothing I haven't sorted. There's no goodbye without a kiss. And I think that's what carries value to it, man.
Do you think a lot of your life experience has also softened you in a bit and made you more connected to people by going through some difficulties? Because if you look at you, you wouldn't, that's not the perception that you would have of you. You would think of someone that has been hardened. But that's not what I see, and I don't think that's what Christ is.
I don't think anyone will ever understand the violence it took to become this gentle. I don't think so. I think I'll tell you, I wasn't like this before I met the Lord. When you surrender to God, A lot of people see surrender as a weak thing. Who do you surrender to? But the peace that comes from it. I'm at a place now where I sleep like a baby at night. Maybe the word you're looking for is intense. I do look intense, man. But I'll give you an answer for that. I'm intense because I'm intentional. And I'm intentional with what I want. And when you are intentional, you become intense. And I don't see a problem with that. You don't want to... Imagine this for a second. You go to the doctor with your injury. And you say, listen, doc, this is what I'm facing. And he says, ish, Leroux, I'm not sure. And he starts making jokes and saying, knock, knock. You're not going to appreciate that. You want the doctor that's intense. You want the doctor that says, okay, this is what's wrong. This is how we're going to fix it. And that's who I am. I don't want to listen to your problems. With all the love in my heart, I don't want to know, but I'll be here 3 o'clock in the morning to tell you how we're going to sort it out. And I think that's, people perceive me as intense. And I'm happy with that. I'm intentional. And I'll keep it that way. Because my main focus in life right now is to leave a legacy. And you will carry the value in what I tell you now as soon as your son is born. You know how little an opinion matters about you. When your son is born, man, you don't care. I'll be honest with you, Leroux, you can tell me here now my feet stink. When I go back home, I know my son Dax looks up to me as this statue of a man. Your opinion means nothing. Because I know what means something to me, man.
What's important? Do you think you get judged a lot?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think you change that judgment as soon as you open your mouth?
I don't really care. I don't think about it either. I've come to a point in my life where judge me, it's fine. I don't even want to tell you I told you so when I prove you wrong. My focus is on one thing only. It's God and my life and my family. Your opinion means nothing. And I want to ask you this now. This is a question I want to ask you. Let's talk about judgment. Let's fast forward 6 years. You take your son to kindergarten. He comes back home that day and he asks you, Dad, why are you in a wheelchair but Pity's dad isn't? Do you think that question is going to mean a little bit more to you? Or Pity's dad asking you, yes man, you're in a wheelchair. Which one do you think carries the most value?
Yeah, 100%.
And have you thought about that?
I have. I've thought about a lot of those scenarios. And I've spoken to one guy. I told him, I won't be able to easily take my kid out of the baby chair, out of the car. I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to do this. And he told me, that might be true. But do you know the things that you'll be able to give that kid that someone that's not in your situation won't be able to give? There's some aspects that are advantages. The knowledge, the experience that you can put into that little person's life because of your experiences. And that gives you the qualification. Probably the worst things that you've been through qualifies you to help someone not go through it or help them through it. And I think it's easy for me because I have a very visible disability. I get treated with a lot of empathy. Everyone's sorry and soft and everything. And the fact is, everyone has these things that keep them back or that limit them, but other people can't see it. So I think I do have an advantage in some stages, and I have to keep my thoughts in that way. Because I can't change this, what I have at the moment, but I can change my view on it, the angle in which I view it. And I think that is my only option. A lot of people tell me, yeah, but you look so positive. The fact is, I have to feel something. I can feel negative, but that is not going to be nice for me. It's not going to be nice for my wife. It's not going to be nice for anyone around me. And I have to still live this life. So I choose that intentionally. This is how I'm going to react. This is how I'm going to be. When you ask me, Jesse, what's wrong with you? What's happened to you? I'll tell you, it was an accident, but it's changed my life.
I can tell you one thing for sure, man. I cannot see your son struggling. Mental struggles is a real thing. And I cannot see your son struggling with any kind of pause in his life that you won't be able to give him advice on. Just like me as well. I can't even think about that. There's nothing that your son can come to you that you haven't beaten in your mind. There's nothing that he can ask you. Obviously there is some things that's going to come along the line, like, all kids are ashamed of their parents, whether it be the car they drive, drop them off at I think that will come, but that's again I feel a place in your life where there's a way to deal with it, man. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, I've also thought about it. I've thought about taking my son to kindergarten. At church on Sunday was the first time it actually happened. There's a point in time that my son's going to start asking me, Dad, why do you have drawings on your face? And Pitty's dad doesn't. How do I answer that? I'm definitely not going to tell him the full story that it's a cover-up for this and what. But there's way, and I really hope deep inside of me, just like I pray and hope for your son, to think that I really hope my son thinks my face tattoos are cool one day. Just like I hope your son thinks your wheelchair is cool, man. And I can't tell you what he's going to think, but I really hope that for you. Because that's also something I think about, man. This is part of my life. And I can't change it now. I'm definitely not going to wear makeup to my son's opening day. I really just hope so for both of us. That our sons think we are the bee's knees. Whether it be a wheelchair or face tattoos.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of opportunity, and I think we have time. Everything that we're doing from now on will change that perspective that they have of us. And it's so valuable, the fact that we can each day try and impress them from the start. I have this friend, they had a little baby daughter in the end of the year, and he told me when his wife went to the hospital, he heard it's now time, the baby's gonna get born, and he told me how he thought about this. He told me, yes, like, okay, what is he gonna wear the first time she sees him? What is he gonna wear? What perfume must he put on? Because he now has to convince this little girl that he's the best thing there ever was. Yeah. And I've never thought about it in that way, because that's so cool. He found something new to pursue. He needs to convince this little person that he's the best. I'm gonna tell you something now, and this is something I only realized later, man. And I'm gonna make you feel so much better now, because it hits you like a ton of bricks, and then you understand it. And you know what the cool thing about children is, and I wish this was the way that everyone saw me, but unfortunately it's not, man. You can literally be the lamest, the dad with the most dad. They think you are the coolest person under the sun. There's like this natural biological bond. Doesn't matter if you fart in your sleep. It doesn't matter what you do. They automatically think you are the coolest thing under the sun. And that put me at ease a lot, man, because there's really no portraying or no faking anything. You're just you. And they think you are the coolest thing. I can't even tell you. It's the biggest blessing. And it is God's gift, because they are so pure. But you don't have to try anything. You don't have to think of the outfits, man. I'll tell you a small story quickly. There was a time a year or so ago where, there's a time of the month where things aren't that
kosher anymore. And I remember, it's that time of the month when you try and make your meal by the spices and the sauces you add. There's not really much meat in the freezer. You kind of put a little bit more aromata. And that night, and I'm telling you this because there's so much humor and there's such a beautiful side to the story. It was a night where we didn't have meat to eat with, and I like a meat, a veg, a steysel. And that night we just had rice. Okay, so my idea with the rice was, I'm gonna hit the ball out of the park now, but I added tomato sauce, for a bit of flavor. And as I stood there, and I'm sure you're also going to go through it, yes, I felt like a failure, man. I stood there and I was busy preparing this. Nikita was sitting on the couch. Daxi was in his eating chair. And I felt bad, man. I was like, I gave up all this stuff. And I was financially well off when I was busy with the wrong stuff. And I gave up all this stuff. And I can't even feed my family proper food. So now I take the food to them, I put it down in front of them, man. And this Dax was so happy for that bowl. He didn't know of what feelings I went through, man. He was clapping hands, he was singing, he was so happy for this food. And that immediately made me feel better. That was a pretty cool thought that I had.
Beautiful moment.
Yeah, beautiful moment.
Yeah, I think we make it difficult for ourselves. We're quite tough on ourselves.
Yeah.
Tell me, have you forgiven yourself for what you've been through? How do you do that?
I couldn't. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't. I couldn't. Post-prison, I had a lot of nightmares at sleep. I had a lot of panic attacks at sleep. So it got to a point where I didn't visit anyone overnight, or I didn't have any people over because it got to an epileptic phase. So I drank Epilim at a stage because my fits started as nightmares, then became epileptic fits, like where I would literally just break stuff because of anger or scaredness, or comes to a point I couldn't forgive myself, and I struggle with those thoughts a lot. The problem is those thoughts didn't haunt me, but they kept me back. They made me feel less valuable. I can't attempt this because I'm not good enough for it. I can't do this because I have to sign in at Garsfontein police station twice a week. I can't leave Gauteng. So there was a lot of things that bundled up, and it made me feel very worthless. On top of that, I felt guilty about the things I did to people. And I couldn't look people in the eye. Couldn't go into public because what if I run into this person? I don't know what I'll do. And then I got baptized. It sounds like a magical fairy tale now, man, but I was probably under that water for 2 seconds. It felt like 3 hours. As I got up there, I've forgotten. I can't, for the life of me, I can't even remember what those thoughts were. It's weird, man. Like I said, I can't explain it to you. I wish I could, but like this, it was gone.
Tell me, we spoke a little bit earlier about, you told me about a long time back when you started going to church and you were there for a long time, and then you got on this journey. How did they accept you at that church?
Very openly. The problem again, man, let me teach you something today. People don't think of you as much as you think they do. Their life goes on.
You think of you.
People don't think of you as much as you think of them even.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, okay, I can't post this today because this is what people don't care. And again, that was my own problems that I had. I was in this church, sitting way back in the dark corner, feeling sorry for myself. And people didn't care. I mean, not once at that church I felt like an outsider. Maybe it's also just because I don't care. Like, I'm at a point, and I told you, man, you can look at me like I'm a clown. Dude, I don't care. I've seen the worst. I've been through the worst. I've faced a lot of bad people, man. There's nothing your opinion can do to me, unfortunately. Maybe raise the opinion to someone who cares, man, because it's not here. So I think that also helps a bit.
I think that creates a lot of peace inside of you.
No anxiety, man.
Nothing can say something that can hurt you.
No. The problem is, and I wish it's something people can realize in life. You must remember that in order to get your feelings hurt, there must be feelings involved. For instance, your wife tells you your breath stinks. The petrol attendant tells you your breath stinks. Which one's going to hurt you more? Obviously your wife, because there's feelings involved. But because my feelings remain in my circle, there's not much people can say or do to me that affects me. I know where my focus is. I know I want to get better. I know I am getting better. I know today I'm a step closer to being my best self. Not for me. I'm not doing it for me, man. The money that I make, I don't go treat myself. I treat my family with it. There's a little bit of what I actually make that I keep for myself. Most of it is, there's this other cool thing I don't even think you know about. Last year November, God spoke to me and he told me, feed 100 people. I'm like, geez, man, you know how much 100 people is? 100 people is a lot, okay? You know, when you open the Bible randomly, you usually open it at a place that says either Abraham en sy 90, his 90 children, or Jesus in the desert for 30. You know, it's usually a very weird place. There I open it and it says there, the scripture said, feed 100 people with only this. What's a coincidence? So since last year November, I had this goal, every month I'll feed 100 people more. So December was 200, January was 300, February 400. And that's what I do with it. That's where my focus goes into. It's not on what people think of me. You can think what you want. My life will go on and I will still make a success.
I can hear the sincerity in your voice, and I can believe that. Tell me, I'm a guy who has to follow routine. I use routine to manage pain, to manage emotion, to manage most of the way I feel in my life. Do you have a specific routine that keeps you on track, that makes sure you feel the way you want to feel, you look the way you look the way you want to look, and you act the way you want to act? Do you have a specific method of ensuring that?
100%, man. I cannot operate without routine, and I'll tell you why. You know how easy it is to form a habit, very bad or very good habits. Okay, my focus is on forming good habits. How do you form a habit? It's in a 3-step process. It's a routine. Routine forms a discipline, and a discipline forms a habit. It's just a repetition of things. And unfortunately, if you want to get better in life, you have to start with a routine. Routine and consistency walks like this, hand in hand. You won't find a person that doesn't have a routine that is consistent, or vice versa. If you want to be consistent with whatever you do, you have to have a routine. And I can't operate without it, man. My kop gets mal. I can't. Each and every day is planned out like this.
What does your typical routine look like?
Morning I wake up, I put the filter, the coffee machine on, I smoke a cigarette. After that I read Bible. Then I have my first meal of the day, first of 6. Then I go to the gym. Then I have my post meal. Then meetings, usually from 11 till 3. I schedule my meetings. From 3 till 5 I get home, spend time with my son, play a bit. 5 to 6 dinner time, 6 to 7 bath and bedtime for him. 7 till 12 is my working on myself, whether it be my own personal brand, meetings for the week. Yeah, so that's what it looks like.
Planning things out, all of those
Completing
things.
studies. Yeah, usually from 7 till 12 at night.
Have you seen that if you don't do those, the wheel comes off? For me, it's very easy to see. Just pain management. I have a routine of cold showers, sauna use, gym. I need to hit at least 3 of those physical things, and that stops me from feeling pain in my body, because I stopped using any medication.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
they
wow, well done for you.
prescribed a lot of medication to me, epileptin for spasms and all of those things, because my body starts feeling pain, and it will get spasms. Neurogenic pain, that is pain caused by the fact that I have an injury. So below my injury, my body is not receiving any signals. So
I
it just
see.
sends like an emergency signal. Listen, there's a big problem. Show pain. So I had to incorporate those things to be able to cope with this without external inputs, And for me, it was an absolute necessity. And I sometimes feel a bit dependent on it, which I don't like as well. But I think a dependence on routine is better than a dependence on medication.
I agree 100%, man. I think at the end of the day, you must remember that you are still a human being. And that's 100% what I do. I would rather be addicted to the good than addicted to the bad. I don't mind being addicted. I've been addicted to the bad, very bad. Now I'd rather be addicted to the good. And that answers your question as well, because let's say in one of those factors of my routine, as soon as I miss out on one, it's a subconscious seed that gets planted of saying, you missed. Because as soon as you miss today, I promise you it's a little bit easier to miss tomorrow, and even easier to miss the day after that. But when you form that habit of never missing, man, I'm not perfect, but yes, I hardly miss. I hardly miss. You won't see me be late. You won't see me miss some. You won't see me drop something, a meeting. I don't do that. I over exceed because, man, I don't miss. I don't miss my routine. And again, I'm pretty sure all the things you mentioned now, being off painkillers, wara, that's because you want to get better.
Oh,
Isn't it? You
100%,
want to improve.
Yeah.
And again, you can't do that without a routine. And that's what I do, man. Routine is key.
I think so as well. And yes, we are creatures of habit, but we also creatures of comfort. And a lot of these things, it's not comfortable to get up early in the morning every day, take a cold shower first thing, go to the gym. It's not easy. It's a lot more comfortable to stay in bed. And maybe you think that will soothe the pain as well, but it doesn't. And the guilt after that is a lot worse pill to swallow. You don't want to deal with that guilt, so rather just do it.
You need to realize this in your life, and you know how simple life is. And I'm going to tell you now. You divide life in two, and it's so simple. Once you can just realize what I'm going to say now is, everything in life that is either easy, either comfortable, is not good for you or your growth. Man, you telling me to wake up at 4:30 every single morning for gym is easy. But if I don't do it, I won't look like I do now with all no cockiness. This takes a lot of work. If I don't spend 2 hours every single day, doesn't matter how exhausted I am, with my son playing the most repetitive hammer spiker game, okay, I will not have a bond with him. If I do not read Bible, I don't have that relationship with God. If I don't, man, if I don't make the dinner at night, a dinner is a sign for me of romanticizing. It's a bit of romantic time between me and Nikita. if I don't do that, where's the relationship going to end? Nothing that's easy in life, or nice, rather let me say nice for you to do, will take you anywhere. The partying, the people use the stupid excuse of taking drugs because it's a coping mechanism, whether it be pain pills or the other side of it. Stupid excuse, man. You just have to realize that everything, in Afrikaans they say, die slegte medisyne is altyd die beste. And that's how simple life is. Do what you don't like to do because that's the best for you.
Do what's difficult.
That's so simple, man. If you know how easy it is to take a lazy day, not do anything. Great, it's good for a day. But imagine now in a year's time when your son is born, how lazy he's going to be. Because that's the example you set.
Yeah.
It's easy. And I can lie in bed the whole day and watch series. Actually, I can't. My mind will lose itself. But I'm talking hypothetically. Just do what's difficult.
It pays off.
It does, man. You know, and we can go deeper into this. You know, a little, call it not a fight, an argument with your wife. You know how difficult it is to keep your mouth. But it's better, man. Not for your own health and safety, but it's better for the relationship.
Sounds like speaking out of experience.
I am, because I'm very outspoken, man, and I will tell you, I'm the first person to admit my fault, but I will also I'm not scared to tell you what you are doing wrong, whether it be in public or in private. And sometimes you have to. There's a time and place for everything. Yeah, there's a place. There's a time and place for everything.
Jované, this was excellent, man, and I really value you being here, being honest and being open. That's I think that's helpful to so many people going through anything.
Thank you.
What would you leave as a lasting thought to the listeners or the watchers?
You can plan, you can prepare, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, it's God that decides, man. If you can do whatever you want, jy kan 'n appel ryp druk, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. Okay? Peaceful profits. If your profits in life, whether it be relationship-wise, financially, if it doesn't bring you peace, it's not for you. That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. Apart from that, I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank my current partnerships that I have in life for. You pretty much know what I've spoken to you about on this podcast. There's a lot of work that goes into getting where you are today. And I want to thank the people like, for instance, Vaanfield and Maritz, man, for being patient with me. And I think this is the exact opposite that you see when you look at a second-hand car dealership, man. You tend to think that there's some scaly things, man, but if it shows you that if people have so much understanding with you and so much trust in you, what type of people they are. I just want to end off by saying, man, it would be ignorant of me to thank you out of myself. I'm thanking you and everyone that is part of my life right now for the patience and the love they've showed me, because I promise you I'm going to give it back. And I am busy. I'm going to give you way more. And I'll make this bet with you today as well, Leroux. You can give me R1, I'll always give you R2 back. Whether it be my partnerships, whether it be my relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I can feel the sincerity in that. Thanks a lot. And where can the people see what you're up to and follow you and keep an eye out for what you're busy with?
Definitely on my social media. My social media has been growing a lot lately. I think it's at about 2,000 followers a day, and I think,
goodness,
yeah, it's really it's above. It blows my mind. Every day I wake up, it's like a whole different ball game, and it's because of opportunities like this, being able to talk and being able to share. So definitely my Instagram.
What's your handle there?
It's my name and surname. So Jované Scholtz, Jovane Scholtz, Jované Scholtz.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Everything the same. I am also in a lot of the work that I do is in collaboration with Vaanfield and Maritz. So you can either search for me or you can search Vaanfield and Maritz, and you'll see all the work I'm busy doing right now, all the inspiration that's being shared.
Brother, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for being who you are. I really do appreciate it, and we're friends now.
Man, I love that, man. I love that. I'm proud of that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jované.